All righty. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I need to test out some new gear. Okay, so we're going to do a live stream, just regular live stream. We'll talk about some headline news. And I will be traveling very soon. And there's some things that I wanted to get worked out before I travel. So it's good. You guys will be able to watch, and hopefully you'll enjoy the show. We'll talk about a variety of different things. Just let me know, first off, where you guys are watching me from. So let me know that in the chat, as well as topics. If you want me to discuss some things, just let me know, and we'll talk about those things today. So sound off in the chat. If you guys can see, I think I'll be over here. I'll be over there. Where is it? Right there. All right. So I have this little chat now. So this is the live feed. So if you guys are chatting, you guys will be able to see that in the chat. Make sure you keep it appropriate. If not, I am going to just remove your comment. So just be appropriate over there. And then I also have the normal chat that we always see. R-Rod's in the building. What's going on, R-Rod? Thank you for your support, your continued support. One of my biggest supporters here, R-Rod. And we have Just Jeff. What's going on, Just Jeff? Thank you for your support as well. So as you guys write things, you will see them on the side of the screen. It's more of I don't even know. This is kind of a gamer thing, I guess. I don't know. But it's funny because when it comes to all this technology and stuff, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good when it comes to technology. But there are certain things that I just don't. I'm not able to figure out how to do. But now that I've been using this software that I've been using for wow, it's been four years now, maybe 5 years, close to 5 years. We're in 2024, 4 years. So 4 years I've been using the same software, and I'm really comfortable with it. So I know how to use it, and so I'm able to do these little things that. You ask a youngster and they know how to do it right away. Oh, yeah, sure. Just go do this, and this. But when it comes to me, it takes me a little time. But I do know what I'm doing now, so I feel a little more comfortable with it. Rita, thank you for being here, Rita. And Rita is coming in from Tennessee. Scott says hello. What's going on, Scott? Mr. Wright waves hello. And then also, I think if you guys put a little – does that heart show up? I guess it doesn't show up, or does it? 100%, does it? I don't know. I thought that little, well, I guess it's not showing. But if you click that little heart or something, I think maybe it's on here. Let me try here. No, I guess not. It was showing up yesterday. It's not showing up today. But anyway, you guys get my point. In the bottom right corner, there's a little heart. If you click it, I thought it would show up on here, but I guess it doesn't. That's really strange. Okay, so who else is in the building? David's coming in from Missouri. Thank you, David, for your support. Thank you for watching. We have Derek coming in from Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. It is hot out there, I'm sure, because it's hot out in Southern California. So I could imagine in Phoenix it is probably scorching hot. I don't even know where we are with heat. Actually, I do know. It says, does it say here? 78? 80? No. Seems much hotter than that. Wow. Okay. All right. So let's see here. Gerald says, "Good evening, David." Hold on one sec. It says, Good evening, David. I am living in West Virginia, Princeton. Thanks again for your info about the problems we're facing day in and day out." Yes, we are. Hold on one second. Okay. Yes, we are facing a lot of problems. But the good news is it's an election year. So I don't know, for whatever that's worth, let's hopefully we can get some people out and get maybe some other people in that can do a better job. So we'll have to see how that works. But we need to hold politicians accountable for the things that are going on. And a lot of times we hold the wrong people accountable. And that I think that's the big problem that I see, or the biggest problem that I see now. I was involved in politics back in the day, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, we'll say, when I was in my 20s, early 20s. I majored in political science, so I was deeply involved when I was in college when it comes to politics and things. And then I represented, or not represented, but I helped out a few campaigns. I was a campaign manager at one point, and then I got a real job. And once I got the real job, then I was working as a probation officer, or working in the probation department for a few years, and then I became a probation officer, and that was my career. And now I'm retired, and when it comes to politics and the way things are right now are much different than they were 25 years ago. And I'm sure those of you who are of age can attest to that. Things are much different now, and there's no unity. There's no helping the American people. There's just help yourself, and that's it. So that's unfortunate, but it's up to us to actually to poke the bear and get them to do the right things. So let's see. Sending love from Atlanta. Thank you, Cassandra. Thank you for your support. And Diane says, "Hi, David. I'm from Arkansas." Arkansas. Cool, cool. All right. Let's see. Learn to travel for less. You know what? I love that. I love that title, or that name there. Do you have a YouTube channel? Let me know in the comments below. But I love that. Love to travel for less, because I love to travel and I love to do it for less as well. Okay, I am curious what software. Hello from Oklahoma. So the software that I'm using is vMix, and I've been using vMix 4 years now, and I love it. It's absolutely great software. I kind of toyed around with some different software applications prior to vMix, and I was doing the whole StreamYard thing, and I think I started StreamYard when it first came out, but I didn't like the limitations. vMix allows me to do pretty much anything that I want. It's like a professional broadcast software platform. And so I like that aspect. I can pretty much do whatever I want. I can tweak it. I can add different little things that you can't do with StreamYard. You can't really, you can personalize StreamYard to a certain extent, but not the way that you can with vMix. And so vMix there's a learning curve there. It's not as easy to use. It's not it's user friendly, but it's not as user friendly as some of these other software applications out there, but it's very good. It's very good. Okay. And I've always been the type of person that when it comes to just using software and things like that, I want to use what's really good or the best. Photography is a good example. I'm into photography, so I want to use the good equipment. I want to use the good software, editing software and things like that. When I edit videos, the same thing. I want to use the best software, because I find that if you try to go the cheaper route, you end up hitting a wall. Whereas if you're using the most popular software applications, the one that everyone uses, guess what? They're updating that constantly, and you're going to be at the top of you're going to be above the curve when it comes to the different changes and stuff. So, all right. So let's get into some topics. You guys, let me know what you want to talk about here. Let's see. Patricia's coming in from Kentucky. Thank you, Patricia, for being here. Flemingsburg, Kentucky. All right. And Barb watching from Long Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Thank you for being here, Barb. And California. There we go, Debbie. Shout out to California. All right. Rod said, did you ever think about running for any political office? I did when I was younger. I really did. Now, you never know. You don't know what the future might, entail. But right now, if you were to ask me right now, it's just crazy. I don't, it's unfortunate, but I see a lot of politicians out there right now they're not there. They don't know what they're doing. They have no clue. They don't even know how the system works. And that's sad because, we have, I think with social media, we've created a new type of politician. You didn't have this category before of let's go viral and ask for money. And that's what politicians, not a lot, some. That's what some of these politicians are doing now. They're stunts. They just do stunts so they can get on the news and get on social media, and then they ask for money. And they've become popular only because they're creating, they're creating chaos. And of course, you had chaos in the past when it comes to lawmakers, but you didn't have it at the level that you have it now. And social media is a big part of that because you can do anything right now. Anything. You look at your Marjorie Taylor Greens, your Lauren Boeberts, and some of these other politicians that are out there that really don't have a clue what they're doing, and they're not doing anything when it comes to what legislation have they authored. Nothing. They're just there just to cause chaos, to mess things up, and then say, look at them. They messed everything up. Now I'm going to come in and fix it. Give me money. And that's it. And they never have any, fixes for these problems. And there's always there's always been an aspect of, there's always been a strategy when it comes to politicians, okay? Negative sales, right? So if I'm running for office, it sells for me to be negative about my opponent. My opponent did this, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, they didn't do this. But in the past, you saw politicians that actually had thoughtful solutions to some of the issues that are out there. But you're not hearing any solutions now. Just listen to some of these politicians out here that are complaining about things all the time. Just listen to what they say. Okay? All they do is complain about things. And they don't tell you about any solutions. And that's a huge problem that we're seeing right now. And it's just, it's overtaken everything. It's just crazy. I don't know how anything is ever going to get done. And so asking me about running for office right now, a lot of things need to change now. They really do. I don't want to be in the middle of it. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm trying to do good and I'm surrounded with people who are just, starting fires everywhere. That would just be frustrating, very, very stressful. And you go there for one reason and then you realize everybody's trying to burn the building down. And it's just like, how are you going to, navigate through that? And that's what I see a lot of that now. It's really unfortunate. And I think, I think when these politicians, there should be some congressional school or something that they have to go through in order to, I don't know. I guess, the American people, we vote for these people, so they're allowed to go in there with no knowledge. If you look at someone and they don't have the real qualifications for the job, all you need are the American people to vote for you. If they vote for you, then you're qualified. but they're not going to do anything because they don't know how to do anything. Just the only thing they know how to do is be on Twitter. And that's a sad situation. All right. So, British Gray, what's going on, British Gray? Coming in from DC. And learn to travel for less. I love Il. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Oh, okay. I don't know what you were saying there, but I think I understand where you're coming from. Okay. I will look it up. Okay, so you're talking about vMix. Yeah, take a look at it. It's a very good program to use. British Gray say, I'm sending you love from Tampa, Florida. Miss British Gray. I thought you said, what did you say? Oh, DC. Wow, I'm reading things all wrong. Sometimes I skim through it and I just, boom. Okay, so yeah, I get it. You're saying, good evening, DC. And then you're saying, sending love from Tampa, Florida. I get it. I understand. Okay. Cassandra says, we love your channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Vince says, Social Security increase. Okay, is that a topic that you want to talk about? I posted a video earlier today with Bernie Sanders talking about his plan. And we've all heard his plan before, the $200 raise for Social Security, $200 per month, or $2,400, increase to Social Security benefits for the year. And that's a proposal that is out there. When it comes to Bernie Sanders' proposal, I've stated this before, but I'll state it again. It would be very hard to pass that proposal because of what you need to do in order to get to that $2,400 increase to Social Security benefits. And that would mean that you would have to raise the payroll tax or payroll contribution on people making $250,000 or more. Now, President Biden has indicated that he is not going to raise taxes on anyone making less than $400,000. And so because of that, he would not be in favor of that proposal because of that $250,000 cutoff there. So that's kind of where that proposal is. Now, that proposal can still happen, but the problem is you're going to have to make changes. So it could be a situation where across the board, payroll contribution would be more appropriate. And so that would mean that everyone working right now would pay a little bit more in a payroll contribution in order to provide for an increase for people receiving benefits. Or you can look at and here Vince is saying Social Security 2100 Act. That would provide an increase, but not a $200 increase per month. It would be much smaller. We're more in the neighborhood of $50 increase, but that would be for everyone receiving Social Security benefits. And then the Social Security 2100 Act has some different carve-outs. So it has a carve-out for a tax credit. So people who are currently receiving Social Security benefits and they're paying taxes on those benefits, you would get a credit for that. So that would be money that you would more money in your bank account because you wouldn't have to pay taxes on Social Security, as well as weapon GPO. They're talking about the Social Security 2100 Act wants to eliminate the weapon GPO. That would be a huge increase for people who fall under that category of weapon GPO. And we could see that. When it comes to just WEP alone, some people could see a 50% increase, 50% increase in their benefits as a result of that. So it would be a huge change. Now, the Social Security 2100 Act, very good proposal, and I think it has the best chance because mainly of they're going to raise the cap on people or make the people who are not paying into the payroll contribution now make them pay into the payroll contribution, but it would start at $400,000 or more. The only limitation here is that the program will sunset over time. So depending on let's say it was voted in today, it might sunset in 3 years, which means that Congress would have to revisit it and look to see if the program is working and then move forward and vote it back in. But it's one of those deals. It's kind of like universal health care, okay, it's kind of like the Affordable Care Act, okay? so Obamacare, where if you implement it, once you get it in there, it's going to be hard for Congress people to pull that away, right? If, let's just to give that example, weapon GPO, if you are currently fall under the windfall elimination provision, so if you fall under WEP and your benefits have been increased by 50%, it's going to be hard for a politician to come in and say, okay, we're going to take that away from you, right? So that's kind of the theory there. But yeah, all we can do at this point is know who these politicians are and know how they feel about these different proposals. And I think this is the biggest part of where we are right now when it comes to holding politicians accountable. I know there are a lot of people that are frustrated out there. I understand. There are a lot of people that are looking at Social Security, looking at these politicians and saying, you need to do something. And they don't have faith in the people we have in office. And in some cases, they're rightfully so. But we've elected these people. So if we have people that don't have our best interests at heart, why are they there? They shouldn't be. And it's up to us to figure out who those people are and get them out of office. Simple as that. It's not a hard thing to do. You just need to know what's going on. And I think, it's unfortunate, but we do have low information voters. We have people that come in without a lot of information about these candidates. And because they don't know about the candidates, they just say, you know what, this person's been here for a while. I'll go ahead and just vote him in again. Or I remember this guy's name. I'll go ahead and vote him in. That's not what we should be doing. We should actually be looking at their record, and we should be looking at what they want to do in the future. And that's a part of what I do on this channel. I'm putting out information to you guys. So I'm not saying that Bernie Sanders' plan is going to pass, but if he's talking about a plan, I want you to know that he's talking about a plan for an increase for Social Security. If Representative Larson's talking about the Social Security 2100 Act, or other politicians are talking about the Social Security 2100 Act, I want you to get that information. And so the best way that I know how to get you that information is by putting it on social media, by putting it on YouTube, as well as I post. I post on Twitter a lot. I don't have very many people following me on Twitter. You guys need to start following me on Twitter because I post a lot of articles. So generally what I'll do is if I'm going through articles and I'm doing research for videos and things like that, if I find an article and it's a good article, I will post it on Twitter. And so if you're following me on Twitter, which I don't even know how many people follow me on Twitter. I want to look that up just to see. Not very many. But if you guys are following me on Twitter, you guys are going to see some of these, some of the articles and stuff that I post. 126 followers. So follow me there. You'll find out a lot of information. Plus, I post my videos too. So I will post my videos, so you'll get information on that. I just posted, yesterday, about weapon GPO, efforts to repeal weapon GPO. I post a lot on there. Okay, so a lot of the videos that I do, I actually find them either on Twitter, or when I find them on Twitter, I go to the source. So I don't just go off what someone's saying on Twitter, but if I find it on Twitter, then I'll repost it there. Or if I find it, if I'm just looking through articles and find stuff, I'll post it. Okay, let's see. Jackson coming in from Arizona. Thank you, Jackson, for being here. Kamika says hello. Hello, Kamika. And let's see. We need solutions. Let's see. What are we saying here? Let's see. We need solutions. That's the only way the system will work. You have to solve all the problems of our... Wait, let's see. You have to solve all the problems or do something about them. Yeah. I mean, look. Our main job is just to know. Just know what these politicians are all about. That's our job. It's just like a boss that's sitting down for an interview with a potential employee. It's the same dynamic. That boss needs to find out about this prospective employee. Okay, that's it. They provide their resume. You ask them a series of questions. if you like what you see and you like what if you like what you see on the resume and you like what you hear, then you might hire that person. But we're going in blind. Some people don't know anything about the politics. It's funny, I've told this story before. I was having a discussion at work with a colleague of mine, and we were going back and forth. We were talking about politics, okay? You know how that gets, right? You go back and forth about politics. We all have our different views, and I do look at, when it comes to the core of Democrats and Republicans, the core, and I'm talking about the core. And I'm not talking about the fringes. I'm not talking about these people that are causing chaos and all that. But when you look at the core, you have one side that wants to help America in, they have their strategy, right? So let's just say the Democrats have their strategy, the Republicans have their strategy. Ideally, they both want to help the American people. However, they have different methods of doing that. But what we see now is we just see chaos. That's all we're seeing. And we're seeing these politicians that are they're not there to help. They're there to enrich themselves. Okay? And the argument could have been made in the past. It was the same thing. You had politicians that wanted to enrich themselves. But you had a lot of politicians that saw, they felt the responsibility to help. We don't have that anymore. I don't see politicians there. And I'm talking, when I say politicians, I'm not talking about all politicians, but I am talking about the ones that are getting the most attention. Okay, the ones that are getting the most attention generally are the ones that are not there really trying to help. Okay, when I say, and I want to preface this, I'm not just saying politicians that get attention, but the negative attention, the negative press, right? The people that are going in theaters and misbehaving and, walking outside of the Capitol building and using profanity and yelling and screaming. That's what I'm talking about. Those people getting all that negative, attention, they're not really there to help. Because if they were, they would be really trying to help by putting together proposals and trying to work with the other side. That's what it's all about. But we as a collective, as Americans, we need to hold politicians accountable. And we need to be that boss that's interviewing these politicians, know what they're all about, and vote for the best one. That's what we need to do. Or vote for the one that we think will help us the most. Okay? And I don't see it. I'm not seeing it in a lot of different areas. Okay, Karen says creating chaos. And let's see. And they also need to be accountable, yes, for their actions. True enough. I agree with that 100%. All right, let's see. What is going on here? My chat just stopped. Okay, all right. Or maybe you guys just stopped typing. I'm down to the very bottom, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, all right. All right, let's see. R. Rod's asking a good question about the Supreme Court justices. So you know what, Alito and Thomas. It's crazy, and I've followed a little bit of it. I haven't been following it really, really closely, but I did know that Alito had the situation with the flag, the American flag upside down, that protest, if you want to call it that. And then the other flag that he flew, I can't remember the way they call it. I don't know the naming of that flag, but when it comes down to Supreme Court justices, I mean, they're kind of untouchable. We've kind of created this super group. I don't know how to say it, but they are kind of untouchable, where they're not being held accountable for anything. And that's pretty crazy. I mean, and just looking at Justice Thomas receiving all these gifts, having a wealthy person pay for his mother's house, and all these things. And I'll say allegation, or things that have been alleged. I don't know. Don't know if it's true or not, but I haven't heard much denial, and I haven't heard a real response when it comes to this stuff. But that has to be. I mean, that's a huge. I would think that's a huge problem if you have someone who's wealthy who is giving you these lavish gifts. That you know, that's not good. That's not good. When I was working, we would have what's called ethics training, um, and we had it. I think we had it every year, and basically it just centered around because I was a public servant, so I was working for the public, and so they would ask us. We would have to attend these classes, and we would just talk about ethics. What's ethical? What's not? Would you do this? Would you? That kind of stuff. And it always comes to some of these situations. And I'll tell you one situation that happens all the time. If you're in uniform, and I worked in law enforcement, so I was in uniform, I would go out, and let's say you go to a restaurant. Let's say you go to the local liquor store, or what a convenience store. There you go. I don't know. Do they? I don't even know if they still call them liquor stores, but convenience store. You go to a local convenience store, stuff like that. People want to give you things. Okay, it's crazy, but it's true. And you have to be. You don't want to be disrespectful. You don't want to. So in some situations, you kind of have to navigate through that. But we would go through ethics training, and they would tell you, it's not good to do that because then they're going to want favors in the future. Let's say it's a convenience store. You're going into a convenience store. They're offering you, hey, yeah, just come on in. I'll give you, a free soda every time you come in, things like that. But if there's a situation where they need you, there's been a robbery or a series of robberies at this convenience store, they're going to expect you to be there, going above and beyond to try to find out what's going on, right? Which that's your job anyway. But you see, there could be a conflict there. Now, I'm not going to say that I never took a free drink from a convenience store and things like that when they offered. Of course, I'm not just walking in and taking stuff and walking out. But generally, generally they're offering free things to you all the time, discounts on food and things like that. And then you'll have this situation that will happen, and there's really nothing you can do about this, but this happens a lot. Let's say you go to a restaurant, you're sitting down with your coworkers, you guys are eating, you guys are all in uniform, and the bill in the waitress comes over and says, "Don't worry about the bill, it's been taken care of." And then you're like, "What do you mean it's been taken care of? Someone paid for your bill." But you don't know who that person is. They don't tell you. And so that happens a lot too. So it's just, the situation that we're looking at when it comes to the Supreme Court, and I know R-Rod can attest to this too, because R-Rod is a firefighter. So in uniform, you have people that offer you things all the time. But when it comes to the Supreme Court, these justices knew who these people were that were giving them gifts and things like that. I heard that I think it was Ketanji Brown, the new Supreme Court justice. She was given tickets to Beyonce concert and things like that. That stuff does happen. It absolutely happens, and you have to be very. If there are no consequences, I guess I don't know if there are going to be ever any consequences for Supreme Court justices. But if there are no consequences, then sure they're going to take it. They're going to take all the money, and there's no consequences. But we used to have to go to that training because our bosses would tell us, look, there could be consequences if you find yourself in this situation. So act accordingly. Okay, so they were telling us, hey, we know in certain situations you might not be able to avoid it. If I'm sitting at a restaurant with my coworkers and the bill comes and they say, oh, no, you don't have to pay for it, it's already been paid for, then what do? Oh, I'll just leave a big tip. I'll leave a $50 tip, I guess. I don't know. I mean, how do you handle that situation? So there's certain situations that you might not be able to avoid, but just make sure you understand that if you are getting something for free, you might be asked to do something in return. And that's the fear when it comes to these Supreme Court justices. Are they being asked to do things in return for these gifts? So if that's found out, I don't know. I don't know how it moves forward. I don't know the checks and balances when it comes to Supreme Court. I would think Congress is the only one that would be able to hold them accountable. That's the only branch of government that could. But yeah, very little rules when it comes down to it. Let's see. Learn to Travel for Less says it's the same in a lot of corporations at higher levels that one wonders how they got the positions, and they literally do not do nothing. They do not do anything but make it harder for those on the front lines. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we all see that. Or we see people who make a lot of mistakes, but every time they make a mistake, they get promoted. It's like, what? What? I've seen that. That does happen. And they make things harder for everyone else. And you wonder, like, how do they get to this point? And some of them, let's be honest, some of them talk a good game. They're good at that. They're good at that presentation. They're good at the interview stage. Some people are horrible interviewers. They go, is that the right word? Horrible interviewers? No, they're horrible at interviews. That's better, because the interviewer would be the person interviewing you. So they're horrible at interviews. They go into these interviews and they just freeze up. I remember when I was when I had the interview to become a probation officer, because in the probation department, usually you don't. I shouldn't say usually. Where I worked, you don't start out as a probation officer. Usually, you'll work in the institutions first. Okay, juvenile hall. In my situation, I was working in a special unit at the jail for juveniles that committed serious crimes. So you go, and when I went to the interview, I remember, and this is funny because I was nervous. I was really nervous, and I had my thing. I knew what I was going to say. I kind of had things all worked out, and one of the big things, and I'll tell, this is kind of the secret that I used to tell everyone. It's not really a secret, but it's something that you should know. You should read the mission statement. Read the mission statement and know the plan for the department. Okay, and so and this is, I guess, civil service jobs have this more, but even in the public sector, they have public sector. My brain is all over the place today. So even when it comes to companies, private companies, they have their mission, right? Their goal, how they want to move forward. They'll have a mission statement, and sometimes they'll have like certain words that they use. Back in the day when I worked for the probation department, we had what we called the balance approach, and we had a pyramid, and it, all this different stuff. And in that pyramid, you have the different things that we were trying to accomplish in our mission. And so know that mission statement. That's something that you absolutely need to know. And when they ask you a question, guess what? You go to that mission statement and you pull from that mission statement when you're responding to the questions. And then also read every year they have like a annual, what do they call it? Like a budget, the annual budget, and what they want to do with the money, what they want to do with that budget. And that could mean they want to build new facilities. They want to do this. They want to do that. So know what that is. And it's public, usually, well, when it comes to, if you're working for government, it's public knowledge. Like it will be available to you. You can go on websites and you'll go on their website and you'll be able to find that information. And that way, what they want to do in the future. That way, when they ask you questions, you can kind of talk about some of the things that they want to do. And all admin, they're going to know what the mission statement is. They're going to know what the mission is, because that's what they're talking about a lot, because they have to try to get you to understand what the mission is so they can move forward with the mission. And then they're also going to be looking at the annual budget, and they're going to know the plans that they want to do and how they want to move forward. And if you're providing that to them, I'm telling you, it's it's gold. It's gold to them. So anyway, I'm sitting in the room in the waiting room, waiting to go in. I'm really really nervous, and I remember one of the probation officers. He was a probation officer at the time. I wasn't a probation officer, and he was a friend of mine because he worked on the line with me before. He came out and he was like, "Hey, you ready for the interview?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm really nervous." He's like, "Don't worry, it's easy. Just you'll be fine. Just do it." So he kind of gave me that little pep talk right before, and it really made me feel good. It kind of made me feel a little more comfortable. But some people are terrible at interviews, and as a result of that, they could be a very good employee, but they're not good when it comes to interviews. They don't talk a good game, and so they don't move up. And then you have some people that are just not good workers, and they're always causing problems. But guess what? They're really good at interviews, and they really talk a good game. And we have some politicians that are kind of that way, right? Some of them, they talk a real good game, but they don't really do much. They cause the chaos, but they know how to talk. They can talk their way out of things, and maybe that's the reason why they're good at what they do, as far as they talk a good game, because they've created all these problems and they've had to talk their way out of them. So, all right, let's see. Don says, "Good evening, David. I appreciate all the information you give us." Thank you very much, Don. I appreciate that. And let's see. All right. So let me see if I can move over. I'll take a look at some Twitter. What's going on in Twitter land? I always like going to Twitter because I don't want to say it's comical. I don't want to say it's comical, but it is comical. Some of the stuff that's just, on Twitter is just, it's amazing to me. All right, so let's switch over to Twitter. We're going to take a look at some of the different happenings on Twitter. All right, let's see. Get that off our screen. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, wait, one or the other here. Let's see. That one's off, and that one's off. But we'll open that up one more time. This is our petition, okay? So I want you guys, if you have not done so, please go over to our petitions. Change.org petition. It's to increase Social Security benefits. We're demanding an increase. And what we're doing right now is we're just getting signatures. And the more signatures, the better. And we'll be writing letters and sending those letters to Congress people, as well as the former president, because he's running for president, and the current president. And it's funny, I've already sent 2 letters. I sent one to President Biden and one to former President Trump. I have yet to receive a response. I sent those letters last month. It's been a month. I won't even say last month, because last month was just a week ago. But I sent those letters a month ago. I have not received a response, but I have received text messages. I'd say at least once a week I get a text message from Trump. Or at least it says, it doesn't even say the Trump campaign. It just says, like, sometimes it'll say Trump, sometimes it'll say like Trump Jr. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's almost like they're sending it like it's like a personal text. It's obviously not a personal text, but they've been sending me text messages asking me for support. Soon as after the conviction, 34 count felony conviction, what did I get? I got a text asking me to support, and that's that I think that they've indicated that the Trump campaign has indicated that they broke records and millions of dollars, which I find really strange that someone gets convicted of 34 felony counts, and the first thing that they ask for is money, and people actually come out and just give him money. I don't know. I find that a little strange. I don't know. That just doesn't. Could you imagine the average person? They get convicted of something, and they get on what's a platform? What are those? The fun, the GoFundMe. They put out a GoFundMe saying, "Hey, send me money. I just got convicted of these felonies, and it was unjust and this and this and that, and they ask for money and they actually get money. Could you imagine? Yeah. Okay. What's going on in Twitter land? So let's scroll through some of this stuff. Oh, we got Lauren Boebert. Oh, what is she saying here? Mark the top line. Okay, so when is the? I would imagine it's Tuesday, right? Their primary. So she hasn't run in the primary yet. Let me get this off the screen, and then we'll play this, and then we'll talk about it.
Hey everyone, Lauren Boebert here with a quick voter PSA before I hit the road and head to Kit Carson County. I have received my ballot as they were mailed out this week, and you should be receiving yours as well. And I wanted to show you on the inside of each ballot is this reminder for Congressional District 4 Vacancy Committee. Now, the special election section is at the bottom of every ballot, no matter what county you are in. And our guy, Greg Lopez, the Republican nominee, is number 3 in that section. So I need you to fill in that bubble because I need reinforcements in Washington, D.C. for the remainder of the year so we can get a conservative agenda passed through the House and increase our slim majority. So when you get your ballots and you're filling out that very first bubble that says Lauren Boebert for Congressional District 4, remember to go all the way through and at the very end, fill in the bubble for Greg Lopez, our Republican nominee, to increase our House majority and get conservative initiatives passed. God bless you and happy voting.
All right, Lauren Boebert out there campaigning. She's in a real bad situation. She created it for herself, but she's in a real bad situation. So I don't know if you caught what she was saying. Basically, she's saying vote for this gentleman. What was it? Was it Lopez? I can't remember the guy's name, but vote for him for the vacancy that's currently there. So there's currently a vacancy. The last representative, well, can we say, yeah, he resigned. He resigned early, and he actually resigned in frustration. He was done, okay? And he did this. It wasn't planned. He just said, you know what, I'm done. I can't work. I can't work with these, and that's part of the reason why right now I would like to be in a situation where I could run for office, but I wouldn't want to be in a situation like this where you have so much chaos, where you have these politicians that are saying, you know what, I'm done with this. This isn't worth it. These people aren't serious. They're not there to actually help people. They're just there to cause all this chaos, and I can't deal with it anymore. And so he stepped down. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he stepped down. And so now they have a vacancy. And so they need to fill that vacancy for the next, 5 months? Was it 5 months? Yeah, 5 months. So they're having the primary, and the primary they're having a special election as well. And so she's asking you to vote for her for the seat in November, or technically for the race in November, and she'll be seated in January. But then in the midterm, appoint this Lopez gentleman. So that's pretty interesting. Now she's only saying that because she's not running. She can't run for the vacancy spot, because if she were to run for the vacancy spot, she would have to resign from her current spot in the 3rd district. So if you don't understand, if you haven't been following Lauren Boebert, what she's been doing, she is a representative right now in Colorado in the 3rd district. And she won a close race in the last election. And so she did not see herself winning in the 3rd district again. And so then that's why she left, and she went over to the 4th district. And now she's trying to run in the 4th district, but guess what? Those people in the 4th district, they're on to her, and they're not, for the most part, they're not supporting her. She is not ahead in any of the polls. They've run a few, straw poll kind of election things, and she hasn't won any of those. And so most likely she's not going to win. I would say she has a very slim chance of winning in the 4th district. So now she's left. She left the 3rd district. Probably the Democrat that she was running against in 2 years ago, he'll probably win and take that district. So that district is going to go to a Democrat. And then this district, the fourth district, is pretty safe for a Republican. So she's talking about increase their numbers. Well, I guess technically you could say increase their numbers, but they're not going to increase their numbers in the sense that you're gaining a seat. You're just filling the seat that was already, a Republican already had. So that's where we are right there. But pretty interesting. All right, we got video here. Oh, this is the Elon Musk parody. I don't even want to go over that. Let's see. So Steve Bannon is being sent to prison. What does it say? July 1st for a bogus contempt of Congress. Why is what's crazy to me? I have never seen so much corruption in our justice system. That's being alleged. Anytime someone does something, there should be a consequence. And now we have all these people out there, and this is Marjorie Taylor Greene out there just saying, this is, our justice system is bad, and this is, it's just crazy because they don't want these people to be held accountable. If you do something wrong, there should be consequences. That's all I say that you should have your day in court. I've said that all along. I don't care if you're former President Trump. I don't care if you're, Steve Bannon or whoever, Hunter Biden. You should have your day in court. If you are found guilty in a court of law, I respect that decision. There should be no, this is, corrupt and, what else did she say? Bogus contempt of Congress charge from Nancy Pelosi's fake January 6th committee that was set up against House rules. I've been begging, pleading, and practically yelling at the Republican House colleagues and our speaker to do. Let's see. I lost my place. To do something to stop the weaponized government. So it's just, and this is an example of what I'm talking about when it comes to Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're on Twitter. I don't know when she posted this. It was probably during the day. You could be doing some work for the American people. You could be helping the American people by putting together some type of, authoring some bills that can help the American people. But you're on here defending Steve Bannon and saying that it's corrupt, that he, this corrupt Congress and corrupt judicial system, and it's unfair and all this stuff. Help the people in your district. I'm sure there's some people in your district that you can help. Maybe some of those people have been convicted of crimes. Maybe you should look into those. That's what I'm talking about. This is, it's just gotten to a point where this is the fight. The fight is not for you. The fight is not for us anymore. The fight is for these celebrities on the internet. All right. Let's see. It's not because they are weak. It's because they are compromised. All right. There's so much stuff on Twitter. It's just crazy. All right. What's the this is all January 6th stuff. Let me get into some lighter news. Let's get into Social Security. Because this stuff, it's gotten so crazy now. You guys let me know a topic too if you want me to look at something specific. And like I said, I'm doing a lot of testing. It's the main reason why I'm on, because I will be traveling soon and I want to be able to make sure all of the stuff that I have here is working properly. You know what? Let me hit the tab here. Does that work? There we go. There's the chat. I don't know. I'm fascinated with having this little chat on the screen over there. Or no, over here. I got to get my fingers there. There you go. Over there. It's the opposite. So it's like when you're looking at a mirror, looking in a mirror. Okay. Let's see. I like videos. What's going on with the videos? I think we saw this video already. Americans have paid into Social Security and Medicare their entire working lives. directly out of their paychecks, so it would be there when they needed it. Republicans call them entitlements. Yeah, the whole entitlements thing. I don't know why I don't know why they still call them entitlements. They're earned benefits. That's what they should be called. Sherrod Brown's running for running for re-election. He's in a pretty tight race. So
they've earned it, but they're not getting their entire Social Security. We're at the Firefighters Union Hall in Columbus. We had police officers, firefighters, teachers, bus drivers, 250 people from all over the state. They paid into Social Security. They've earned it, but they're not getting their entire Social Security. We're fighting back, and we want to fix this injustice. Just like the pension bill, just like the child tax credit, we're not going to give up until it's done. That's my commitment. That's our mission to make it happen.
All right, Sherrod Brown, they're talking about weapon GPO. Very important for people who work in the public sector. And I had no clue about this until I retired, and then I started doing a little bit of research on Social Security and realized, hey, guess what? If you earn your points, you're not going to get all those points, or you're not going to get all of your benefits. You're going to get it reduced because you paid into a pension for all these years. So we're going to penalize you because you can't get a pension and Social Security and your full Social Security benefits. That wouldn't be fair. Wouldn't be fair to other people. But you've paid into it. But it wouldn't be fair. It doesn't make sense. Just like, and I guess you could make the same argument when you're talking about raising the cap. So right now the cap is $168,600. If you make more than that, you no longer have to pay into the payroll contribution. And the reason for that is because that cutoff is when they do the calculations, you've maxed out your Social Security benefits. You can no longer receive more, okay? So if you did raise the cap, I don't know what they would do. I don't know how the calculations would change, but they would have to do some changes to the calculation. But they're doing the same thing when it comes to weapon GPO. But it's worse because we're not talking about people who are making a lot of money, year over year. We're talking about working class people. We're talking about teachers, firefighters, law enforcement. Working class. You don't go into those fields to be wealthy, to be millionaires. You go into those fields to actually help people, and you get a pension. But when it comes to Social Security, now they want to take up. No, you can't get all that. We're going to take up to 50% of it. So it's really a bad situation. So just know what's going on when it comes to that. This is the video earlier that I posted. I believe it. I believe it is.
Folks who say, well, look, we all love Social Security, but we got to save it. The only way to save it is raise the retirement age or cut the benefits, right? What they forget to mention is that right now, if Wendell makes $16 million a year and you make $160,000 a year, you're paying exactly the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund. So what you have been advocating for years is what we call lift the cap, right? If you lift the cap and you tax all the income of the individual, you know what we could do? At a time, by the way, when the billionaires pay an effective tax rate lower than working class people. If you do that, you can make Social Security solvent for 75 years. So you end the discussion of Social Security not being there for our kids. And the second thing you do is you raise benefits by $2,400
a year. Yeah.
All right.
And that is a.
Now, why isn't everyone in that room clapping? This is what's amazing to me. You have him saying, and okay, maybe everyone in that building, they're really well-to-do, well off, I should say. And maybe they would be the ones that would be paying more in payroll contribution. They're making over the, well, in Bernie Sanders' case, it's $250,000 or more. So maybe all of them meet that, or a lot of them meet that $250,000 or more. So they're just saying, you know what? I don't want to pay more in payroll contribution. But why wouldn't everyone clap about that? You're providing, because most people, 95% of people will be in a position where they'll be collecting Social Security at some point in their life. God willing, if they get to the age where they can collect, they will collect. So why not be happy about the fact that you're going to prolong the program for another 75 years, so we're not worrying about this whole situation when it comes to the trust fund running out of money and having the 23% cut across the board. We don't have to worry about that in 10 to 11 years. And there'd be an increase, so you'll get a little bit more in benefits. Why isn't everybody clapping? You had like half the people clapping, maybe? Small number of people that were actually clapping. I don't know. That's
A
interesting.
bill that should be voted on.
Well, we're going to push it, believe me. All right,
Because-
but it is, again, these
And,
all...
and it would put Republicans in a bind because they don't want to, they're against raising revenue, so they'd be against it for that. They definitely don't want to say they want to cut benefits because, again, their own voters against it. They don't want to offer an alternative. It is the perfect issue to bring up.
And I do agree with her as far as being the perfect issue to bring up during an election year. It absolutely is, because bringing this up it could move the needle, because you do have politicians that don't want to talk about this. They don't want to talk about Social Security. They don't want to talk about Medicare. They don't want to talk about reforming those programs right now, because they know the reality is that if you reform those programs, you're going to have to bring in more revenue. And so you're going to have to talk about the potential for raising the payroll contribution, depending, on the wealthy, or raising it across the board on everyone. So that's the real thing there. But they also don't want to vote against Social Security benefits. They don't want to vote to cut any benefits. And if you put something on the table, a proposal on the table that has an increase for Social Security benefits, if these politicians vote against it, that's politically, it's not smart politically, let's put it that way. So that I agree with her 100%. That should be something that we should be focused on, really focused on. Okay. Oh, wow. So we have Rick Scott here. Rick Scott on raising taxes and slashing Social Security. I'd like to apologize to absolutely nobody. Oh, God. Oh, this is only at 3 seconds.
I'd like to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Okay.
I'd like to.
So that's just a meme there. Representative Larson, I showed you guys this clip already. This was a hearing that was just held earlier this week.
We were to raise the retirement age by 3 years, as has been proposed. What would that mean in terms of cut to benefits if we went from 67 to 70?
It would depend on how rapidly we did this, but at the point at which we had the retirement age raised by the 3 years, as you'd indicated earlier, that reduces retirement benefits, monthly benefits, and lifetime benefits by about 6.5% to 7% for each year that we raise. So an additional 3-year increase in the normal retirement age would, in fact, lower benefits by on the order of 20%.
Mr. Goss.
So, and Mr. Goss is the chief actuary of the Social Security Administration. So he's pretty much he's the numbers guy. And so there he's saying that if you're looking at raising the full retirement age, for every year that you raise the full retirement age, it's 6.5% to 7% cut to benefits. And the danger here and the problem with what's being said out there, some of these lawmakers are saying, we need to raise the full retirement age. You hear a lot of lawmakers say that, right? That's the solution. It's not. It doesn't completely solve the problem, because you still need to bring in more revenue in order for the program to be extended out for another 50 to 70 years. So you're still going to need to do something else. But raising the full retirement age, you hear these lawmakers talk about this all the time. People are living longer. Let's raise the full retirement age. But guess what? If you raise the full retirement age, that's a cut to benefits, because you have a shorter window of time that you're going to be able to collect those benefits. We all have an expiration date. And so if 67 to your expiration date is right now, so you can collect Social Security benefits for that period. But if you move the goalpost a little bit to 69 or 70, now that window has shortened. So now you're going to be collecting less benefits. So that's the danger there. So you have lawmakers saying, and I've heard some lawmakers say this, they'll come out and they'll say, look, we need to reform Social Security. We need to protect the program, but we need to raise that full retirement age. That's how we're going to do it. But guess what? Raising that full retirement age is going to cut Social Security benefits. You know, the whole reason that they're saying we need to act now and reform Social Security is because there will be cuts of about 23% in 10 or 11 years. But their solution is to cut Social Security right now. That's their solution. You know, and that's the danger. Because if you're raising that full retirement age, just like they said, let's say you raise it to 70. So from 67 to 70, now you're looking at about a 20%, 20 to 21% cut to benefits. So you're going to have that cut, and then you still need to address the problem when it comes to bringing in more revenue, which means that you potentially need to cut even more. So it's very, very dangerous. Okay. Let's see here. Let me pull up the chat. Is that coming open? Oh, there it goes. All right. Let's see. Was trying to find you on X and was having issues finding you. So I'm not big on I'm not big on navigating through a Twitter, but this is my handle here. So it's the TEC show. So it's at the TEC show live. I couldn't just put the TEC show. Somebody else has that name. So that is, so if you put at the TEC show live, then it should show up. Okay. And like I said, I post every day. I'm posting stuff. Let me give me some hearts here. So I will post my videos. Every video that I put out, I will post here. And then we have different articles. So this is an article about weapon GPO. Some more of my videos. This is, oh man, you know what? Let me show this. This is pretty funny, but there's been more information on this. I find this story really amazing.
If you're a content creator of any kind, you need to check out Emotion Array. My name is Paul, filmmaker and YouTuber.
Well, now to that viral video fallout after a man was seen driving during a virtual court hearing for driving on a suspended license. Today, Corey Harris talks about why he was behind the wheel, but he also says he should not have been charged in the first place.
And 7 News reporter Kimberly Craig talked to Harris and checked into that suspension.
After he was busted driving on a suspended license, Corey Harris had to report to the Washtenaw County Jail here. And today I asked him what everyone wants to know. What were you thinking?
What was I thinking? I was thinking about getting my wife medical help. That's what I was thinking.
Corey Harris said that's why he was behind the wheel earlier this month when he appeared before District Court Judge Cedric Simpson, who knew Harris was appearing on a charge of driving while license suspended.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second.
We spoke to Harris by phone today, and he said the doctor wanted to see his wife for some ongoing medical issues that had worsened, and he didn't think about anything but getting her there.
You stationary?
I'm pulling in right now at this second. Yes, I am.
Corey Harris was cited for driving while license suspended in Pittsfield Township back in October. He said it was suspended for unpaid child support. Secretary of State records show his license was first suspended for child support back in 2010. But Harris told us he thought his license had been reinstated.
They were supposed to have been lifted it two years ago, but they didn't.
And according to the Saginaw County court records we found, Harris is right. In January 2022, a judge rescinded that suspension on his license. But for some reason, that information never got to the Secretary of State, where even as of today, his license is still listed as suspended, the same records the judge was going by.
This is a driving while license suspended?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving. Failure to turn himself in will result in a bench warrant with no bond.
It's very embarrassing. And with the type of ties that I have with the church and the community, it's very embarrassing.
Thursday afternoon, Harris told us he was going to the Secretary of State's office to try to straighten out everything between them and friend of the court once and for all.
Always double check, be behind these workers, because they will say that they will do something and they don't do it.
In Ann Arbor, Kimberly Craig, 7 News, Detroit.
Well, let's hope he gets that straightened out. Thank you, Kim.
All right.
This is the stock analyzer scorecard.
So
if you're new,
okay, so it got worse, right? Because and let me find the last video on this, because you saw him there. First off, if you guys didn't follow this whole story, I'm sure you probably saw it because it was all over the news. He's driving a vehicle, came in on a Zoom call during court, and the judge is like, well, wait, you're driving on a suspended license, or you're here for driving on a suspended license, and you're actually driving a vehicle. So you're in violation in front of the judge. And so judge was very, very upset, obviously, and just, kind of didn't know how to respond, and told him, look, you have a bench warrant, or you need to turn yourself in later today, or you'll have a bench warrant. So basically, which means that they'll go after him. They'll go out and get him. When I say they, I mean law enforcement will go out and get him. And it's a no bail bench warrant, which means you get arrested, you can't bail out, you have to go back to see the judge before you're let out of jail. Let's see, where's the other one? Okay, so it got worse. I think this is this is it.
And I think.
Oh, this is. Okay, I'll play some of this. I'm not going to play it all. I don't think it's I think it's pretty long.
People are saying, and quite frankly, your client has made the assertion that the Pittsfield Township, as well as this court, was acting on some type of defective or faulty information, which I will tell you, counsel, caused the court, given what the court did, to investigate what my ruling was. And I will tell you that assertion is absolutely correct with reference to any faulty information that either came through to the Pittsfield Township Department of Public Safety or to this court ultimately at the May 15th hearing. And I think it needs to be stated, I've been asked for comments. I have refrained from comments, as is my normal practice is. This court with the pending case will speak on the record. And so I am going to make sure that the record is very, very clear as to what this court knows and what this court acted on May 15th. And we can start with this. And my basis for doing it is because of what was said about what this whole process was, and that an indication, counsel, and I know, counsel, you've been before me before. Absolutely. I know it is not coming from you, but you also know how I am.
I do.
And the thing is that if for whatever reason, the one time in my life I was wrong, I will say it, and did. But when I'm not wrong, and when people are not to blame, then it also needs to be said. So I will try to get through this as quick as I possibly can. But I will tell you, first of all, with any reference to your client having had a license on that day, and some indication or misunderstanding as to whether or not he had a license, let me make it very clear, based upon what the court looked at, he has never had a Michigan license, ever, and has never had a license in the other 49 states and commonwealths that form up this great union.
Wow.
He has never had a license. In point of fact, when they suspended his license, and what people don't understand, when they suspended his license in Saginaw, they don't suspend the license. They suspend the privilege to drive in this state. Hence, for example, if he had had a Kentucky license, he would be able to drive everywhere that Kentucky would allow him to drive. He just couldn't drive in Michigan because his privileges had been restricted. I know you know that, but that wasn't at all said. But it doesn't matter because he didn't have a license ever. There is also then, and you know, I will, when it is necessary, come to the defense of my sister courts, and I will come to the defense of Saginaw. They got a great chief judge. The chief judge answered the question. But I will tell you, that court and its friend of the court did nothing wrong. His license was, his driving privileges, better stated, were unsuspended in 2022. That required Mr. Harris to do something. He didn't do it. Therefore, the friend of the court was under no obligation to send anything to the Secretary of State. Now, I hated that I had to look at all of this, but when there's a question as to what I did, I'm going to look at everything to make sure that what I did was all in order. There's then an indication from that because that wasn't sent, there was a direct attack on Michigan's Department of Secretary of State's office, saying that the Secretary of State was somehow at fault. Let me tell you something. Secretary of State did what they were supposed to do. And in point of fact, they did nothing because they hadn't gotten anything from the court because Mr. Harris had not paid the reinstatement. This week, or the latter part of last week, once he paid that, Saginaw friend of the court did what they should do, and they sent it. Immediately, based upon the information that I have, the Secretary of State did what they do every day. They took that suspension off of his driving record, and he was then unsuspended. And then your client did what he needed to do with reference to the Secretary of State and paid a reinstatement. Okay. Just a second, Mr. Schiller. I'm going to let everybody respond because
Thank you.
I am not done yet.
Okay.
All right.
You covered a lot of the points for me. Thank you, Your Honor.
And so that came down to that. So the information at the time that I had, that Pittsfield Department of Public Safety had, was all correct at the time of both Pittsfield stop as well as the May 15th day. It was all correct. There was no error by anybody. It was a failure on the part of Mr. Harris to do certain things. Now, I grant you that sometimes that can be a complicated process, but it was certainly not anybody's fault that that didn't happen other than that wasn't paid. Now, here's the other thing, and I'm like maybe in church where I say I'm about finished now, but the other part of this is this stop was in October. Most of the cases that we've heard just in this last afternoon are driving while license suspended cases. That's part of my Wednesday afternoon. We go through great pains to try to get people their licenses back, which is really how it should happen. Between October and because I don't live under a rock, I actually watch things. You look very nice on TV.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There was something that was said that was very disturbing to me. And I'm just going to let you know because I believe in being fair with everybody. The question was asked along the lines, between October of 2023 and the point in time of the May 15th hearing, was there an attempt by Mr. Harris to correct his license. Here's the part that was disturbing for me, so that you know.
Okay.
Mr. Harris indicated that at some point he had been involved in some accident. And being involved into the accident, that he was basically bedridden or at least housebound, he could not get to the Secretary of State. That was set up there, and I'm going to presume, because my knowledge of counsel, defense counsel is, I know you don't misrepresent anything.
Right.
You never do.
Right.
That's not true.
Okay.
He purposely stated that he could not get to the Secretary of State, which, for the way we handle things in this court, would have placed him in a whole different category. We would have tried to find a way. Let's figure it out. And the reason I know that is because Mr. Harris, on December 28th of 2023, do you know where you were?
December 28th, 23.
23rd.
2023.
I know I was laid up from our accident.
You were at the Secretary of State's office. And you were at the Secretary of State's office because you redid and got your new Michigan ID. I have the date. That's the date you did it. December 28th, 2023. You did. And so that you also know, and in all fairness to counsel, because I don't know if counsel knows this or not, the way I know that he's never had a license is because May 3rd, 1990, he was 19 at the time. May 3rd, 1999, he applied for his first Michigan ID. Counsel knows, so I do, you cannot have both. You either have an ID or you have a license, one of the two. He has religiously every year gotten a new ID. And so he knows that he doesn't have a license. And quite frankly, I just wish he would have said that at the beginning. And all of this hoopla could have been just put all aside. And we all go through the process as we do with all of the people coming here to try to get him his license back.
Are there times when you would love to have another address or phone number to use instead of...
All right. What do you guys think? And so I believe he was remanded. I think he went back into custody as a result of that. But he's never had a license. He lost the privilege to drive or to obtain a license, but he's never actually had a license. Crazy situation, right? But it went from the viral video, the first video where he was driving on they call it a suspended license, but technically he didn't have a license to begin with. And that was the first viral video. And then they did a follow-up, and that's when the news outlets started getting involved, and they interviewed him, and they were talking about, well, no, he actually had a license, and he paid the back child support or whatever he owed in order to qualify for the license, but the government didn't follow through. The state government didn't follow through with releasing the suspension from his license or whatever they tried to say. And he was saying the same thing in that interview you saw. And then you find out that he's never had a license. Never. In any of the states, he's never had a license. Just a crazy situation. Oh, man. All right. I'm going to hit the chat real quick and see what you guys are saying here. And R-Rod saying, boy, that sure was confusing. It was, but you know what? Man, it's just one of those deals where you have people just being dishonest. You know, the video went viral, and so now he's like, and I say he, I'm talking about the gentleman where the video went viral on, because he's doing something that, what are you thinking? Like, seriously, you're driving a vehicle, you're there, you're appearing in court on a driving, that's a situation where, you know what, you're just going to be late to that meeting, to that hearing. And you just explain to the judge, I'm sorry, I had to, take care of a family matter. And that's why I couldn't make it, or, something. But you're going to be in a vehicle, and you're going to go on a Zoom call in a vehicle with, well, obviously they can see that you're driving the vehicle. It's just crazy. I don't understand how people think sometimes. It's just, I don't know. It's, ay. Let's see. Chris is saying they need to get a vote on the 2100 at the 2100 Act as soon as possible, or as soon as. Wait, hold on. the screen is really small here. They need to get a vote on the 2100 as soon as next week. It's wishful thinking that they would get anything done very, very, like really soon. This is one of those situations where it has to be built up. Could there be a vote by the end of the year? That's possible, but I'm going to be honest with you, probably not likely at this point, just looking at the dynamics in Congress. But there's always a way to, I think more than anything, what's important right now is that we get the right people in place in January. That's what's important. So voting in November, get the right people in place come January 3rd when they return. And if you have the right people in place, then we have a fighting chance to reform Social Security. If we don't put the right people in place, then guess what? We're going to be looking at a situation where we might have to spend another 2 to 4. I'd say 2 to 4. The next 2 years will be another election, and then the presidential election will be 2 years after that. So that could be what we're looking at. If we don't get anything done, as far as when I say we, if we don't put the right people in place. All right. Any questions that you guys have? Any other things that you guys want to talk about? Let's see. And Arad is saying this. This is kind of a frustration to me. Why do you think so many people vote against their own best interests? I think you know who I'm referring to. So you do have a lot of people who vote against their best interests. Let's face it. I always look at how, when we see things get done, why are they getting done when it comes to Congress? When we see them move on things, why are they moving on these things? And in some situations, you're seeing, you know that there's pressure coming from somewhere. A lot of these tax cuts that we see, back in 2017, former President Trump was president. They had that big tax cut that helped wealthy people. Why did that happen? Well, the pressure was coming from wealthy people. They were demanding, look, you need to cut our taxes. And in turn, you cut our taxes, then we're going to make sure the economy is thriving. That was the argument, or the argument. But that didn't really help the average person, that tax cut. Matter of fact, it added, like the projections, it's going to add like $2 trillion to our national debt. But the wealthy, they're keeping that money. And that's the thing. So just understand, and this is one of the frustrations that I have when it comes to when you have a politician come out and tell you, we have a $34 trillion debt. We need to bring down that debt. Okay, I agree with you. How do you plan on doing that? You shouldn't be cutting taxes, because that's the revenue that you're cutting. So if you want to pay something down, like our national debt, you need to keep the revenue at the same, or increase the revenue even more. But that's the only method that the U.S. has of bringing in more revenue, and you're cutting that. And as a result of cutting that, yes, we're going to see the debt increase even more. And, the whole argument that some of these politicians make when they say, well, we need to cut taxes because it will stimulate our economy and it'll do this and it'll do that. Well, a lot of that money doesn't trickle down, okay? That whole trickle down economics and all of that, it doesn't do it. Because a lot of the wealthy people, you give them a tax cut and tax break, they just keep the money. They're not investing it. They're not reinvesting it. They're just keeping it. And so it's not helping the average person. And it's adding to the debt. And so it's just amazing to me. If you really want to take care of our debt, you do need to spend less. I agree. But you can't cut revenue as well. Because that's their whole strategy is we're going to cut revenue and then we're going to cut programs. And that's why they look at Social Security and they look at Medicare and they look at some of these big ticket items and say, well, how can we get our hands on that money? Because you have some lawmakers they're upset the fact that Social Security has its own, revenue stream. And they're upset with that. I won't say upset. That's not the right word. But they don't like the fact that it has its own revenue stream. And they would like access to that revenue stream because that's trillions of dollars. The trust fund right now, the trust funds, I think in total is like $2.7 trillion in the trust funds for Social Security. And so let's just say they were able to pull that into the general fund and say, okay, yeah, let's pull in the general fund and we'll spend a little bit here, a little bit there, and then, Social Security will get a little bit. But if they can get access to that money, they would love it. And that's why you have to keep fighting the fight when it comes to Social Security, when it comes to Medicare, and know that, look at some of these politicians and hold them accountable and get them out of office because they are going to be there trying to do away with programs like that. And one of the things that annoys me the most is when I hear lawmakers talk about Social Security, Medicare. One is calling them entitlements, Social Security and Medicare entitlement programs. We spend a lot of money on entitlement programs and we're $34 trillion in debt. I do not like when they tie those two together. They have nothing to do with each other. We're $34 trillion in debt because we overspend from the general fund, not because of the payroll contribution. The $2.7 trillion that we have in the trust funds. It's not because of the money that goes into Social Security. It's because we're spending too much money on our national defense. We're spending too much money in a lot of other areas, and all that money is coming from the general fund. And we're providing tax cuts for wealthy people who are just keeping the money. They're just pocketing the money, and it never trickles down to the American people. That's why we're in debt. So they don't want to talk about that. And Neil is saying, saying it's sad they don't want to work together. Yeah. Some do. You have some groups like the Problem Solvers Caucus. I was actually pleased to see that the Problem Solvers Caucus is in the House. You have, I think, is it all the House? It might be a split between the House and the Senate, but nonetheless, you have Democrats and Republicans that are trying to work together. Okay, they work together on proposals, and they endorse the Social Security Fairness Act. Okay, so that's Social Security Fairness Act. That's weapon GPO, eliminating weapon GPO. That is a good proposal. However, there's no revenue stream with that proposal. So it's good because it would eliminate weapon GPO, which, as I stated earlier, would provide for teachers, law enforcement, firefighters. It would eliminate weapon GPO. So if you were in a situation where you're getting reduced benefits, Social Security benefits, then you would get, I guess if you eliminate it, you would get your full amount. But the only issue with that is there's no revenue stream. And so what that could potentially do is it would draw down on the trust fund much faster, because now you're going to have people who, and I'll just throw an example out. Let's say you worked, you received a pension, and now you fall under that windfall elimination, so WEP, and you're only getting $500 in Social Security. So you're getting your pension plus you're getting $500 a month in Social Security, when really you could qualify for $1,000 in Social Security. And they eliminate WEP and they eliminate GPO. So if they eliminate those programs or eliminate those provisions, then instead of the $500 you're getting now you're getting $1,000. So now the trust fund is going to deplete much faster, because you have all these people out there that are starting to get, or not all, I say all, like everyone, but you have a lot of people out there that fall into that WEP or GPO category, and now they're collecting more money in benefits. And so it's depleting that trust fund much faster. You deplete the trust fund much faster. Now you're in a situation where the trust fund, instead of being completely depleted in 2035 or 2034, it could be completely depleted in 2030 or even sooner. And so you have to have a revenue stream. And that's why Social Security 2100, I think, it's important for us to focus on a program, on a proposal like that, because that proposal pulls in revenue. It pulls in revenue. So it will do away with WEP and GPO, but it will also pull in revenue to provide an increase across the board, to allow for that elimination of WEP and GPO, and allow for tax cuts for people receiving Social Security benefits. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and go. This was actually fun. I think I'm going to do some more of these, just kind of random live streams, I guess you can call them. I enjoy, especially when things work, and I think everything worked. Everything worked pretty well. So I enjoy that when I do a live stream, and it's pretty smooth, pretty flawless. It's not always that way. I just did one yesterday, and it seemed like everything wasn't working properly. So we'll be back on later. I will be, as I stated, next Thursday, I won't be doing a live stream because I won't be in town. So just be prepared for that. But I will try to do a live stream as soon as I possibly can, once I have a fast enough internet and all that stuff. So if you guys have any questions and I didn't answer them in the live stream, just put it in the comments, and I'll see about answering them later. And that's all I have. So thank you for stopping by. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.